Welcome to another Crafting with Roswell. For today's virtual program, we are going to be playing with Shrinky Dinks. Now, this is the perfect project for a virtual event since it requires the use of an oven, which we unfortunately do not have at our library. So in your kit, you receive one sheet of the Shrinky film, and this is enough to make many projects. One set of earring pieces, one set of keychain pieces, and a sheet of parchment paper. So let me go over the pieces in your kit. So I gave supplies to make one set of earrings and one keychain. So let me just go ahead and pour these out and help you separate the two different items. So first you will have a tassel. The tassels came in different colors in the kit that I purchased. You will also have two earring hooks. And so your pieces might be kind of tangled up, so just separate everything out. Two earring hooks. Then you also have four what they call jump rings to help attach your items to either your keychain hook or to your earrings. And so you're going to have four different ones, but you're going to see one is obviously thicker and a slightly different chrome color, and the other two are a little thinner, smaller, and silver in color. So the two smaller silver ones go with the earring set, and the two thicker ones go with the keychain set. So I'm just going to set those off to the side for now, move all my supplies. And so those are the earring and keychain pieces that you'll have in your kit. So next up are the also needed supplies. So you will need a baking sheet. So I have an older baking sheet and a piece of parchment paper already laid out. You will need a hole punch. You will need an image to trace, or you can draw freehand. So with my project, the second I thought of doing this in this time of the year, I automatically went to a certain television show and a certain episode dealing with Thanksgiving. And so I was inspired by this turkey in order to even do the Shrinky Dink project. But whatever you want to draw, whatever you want to trace is completely up to you. It doesn't have to be printed in color, but that helped me remember what colors go where. The most important piece of this is to know that your item is going to shrink when you bake it. Hence Shrinky Dink. So these items that I sized are about 3 1/4, 3 1/2 inches. These I was going to use as a keychain, so they're a little bit bigger than my earring would be, so they're almost 4 inches. And so the rule of thumb is that this is going to shrink down about half. So whatever you size this at, so this 3 something, I'm expecting it to be like 1.5 inches when I'm done, from 4 closer to 2 inches when it's done, to help you do your sizing. Next up, we recommend using jewelry pliers. If you do not own jewelry pliers, please don't feel the need to go out and buy any. You can always bring this portion of your project into the library, and I can let you borrow the library pliers to finish up. They make it a lot easier for opening and closing the little jump rings when you're attaching your items to make the earrings or make your keychain. So my oven is beside me since I am in my home kitchen to do this project. I have permanent markers. You can use colored pencils. You can use other markers. I had really good luck using permanent markers on my sample, so that's what I'm sticking with. Now the brand of the marker shouldn't matter. The most important part is that they have that permanent classification. And so I have a bunch of different colors to help color in my turkey. And then I'm using a black Sharpie to do my outline. I have a ruler to help me make sure that my printouts come out the size I want them to be. I also have scissors. I will need these to actually cut out my designs after I do my tracing. And then I have tape nearby. So the tape is going to help hold my shrink film sheet in place while I'm tracing. I don't want to have to keep maneuvering it. as you're going, you might have to find that you manipulate your hands or manipulate your drawing in order to get the best angle in terms of tracing and doing your coloring. So the tape just helps hold things in place. If you do own a silicone crafting mat that I've been talking up for, I don't even know how long at this point, that actually helps hold your sheet in place where I don't even need to tape this down. Like I'm pushing on it and that silicone mat is really gripping and it's not going anywhere. So my bigger concern is just going to be making sure my shrink film doesn't move around too much while I'm tracing. And this shrink film came from my major online retailer. It came in a big pack. So if you're looking for something fun to do, this is an easy way to just trace items and create unique earrings, create unique keychains, create unique necklace charms, backpack charms, you name it. These can be used for a variety of things. So let's get started. So the first step is really optimizing the use of your shrink film. So once you have your images that you want to trace, or if you freehand draw, that's perfectly fine too. The biggest point that you're going to want to concentrate on is just leaving a little room around the edge of your shrink film compared to your item that you want to trace. That way you can maximize your sheet. My practice sheet, I already have 2 earring designs traced on and cut out a keychain charm as my tester. And there is plenty of sheet left to make more items. So just to show you. So I already cut out this corner and this was a keychain charm as my practice. And then I've already gone ahead and traced this turkey design twice. And then just manipulated it and moved it so they're close together, but giving me room to cut these out. And these 2 are going to become my set of earrings. I'm going to use this frame style. And with this shrink film being a matte color, it does create like a white inside. So I'm just going to concentrate on doing this coloring of this frame and doing the intricate little line work on it and just leaving the center in place. You could find ways to cut that out, but I'm not going to bother with that today. So my keychain charm is going to be this frame and I'm leaving the inside in, and this part will just be the white of the film once this is baked. So I'm going to get started trace coloring. So I start with my main color first. So this frame is going to be pretty easy for me to show you. It's all one color. So I just kind of work in sections, being mindful of where your hand falls. You're going to work in ways that your hand is not covering over what you've colored. You don't want to accidentally dip your wrist or your side of your hand into it and then end up smearing your artwork. So I'm just going to fast forward you while I quickly color in my frame to match the overall design of the image I'm basically coloring over, tracing over, because the film is translucent enough for me to see my artwork below. Now that that's all colored, I'm just going to gently lift my film and see if there are any areas that might need a little more coverage with the yellow. So this is obviously still drying, but now on my black background, I can see a few areas where I can just kind of go back through and add a little more yellow coloring. Still staying within my original sections. I don't want to deviate outside these too far. Trying to leave a little border around the outside that will get cut to just leave a small border around the finished project once it's shrunk. So I'm just trying to achieve a nice golden yellow color to kind of match the frame. So that's a little more filled in, a little more even in the color, even though this is still drying. So it's just a crisper yellow. So I'm going to go ahead, place this back down on top of my original image. And then the fun part, go through and trace all my black lines. So I highly recommend doing your background colors first. So for like the turkey, I did the yellow piece, the red hat, worked my way down through the turkey, did the glass pieces all separate, letting them dry in between colors in different areas so I don't smudge. And then went over at the end to do my black outline.
Again, not going for perfect. I'm human. This is handmade, not machine made, so I'm not expecting all of my trace lines to be absolutely spot on, but doing as close a job as I can. Now go back in and do all of my middle pieces. While I'm doing this on my edge near my item, every once in a while I just come over and do a little scribble with my black permanent marker just to help feed the tip a little more. You might have to give your markers a break if you find that the color needs a chance to kind of recharge. And the way you hold your marker will make a difference as well.
So there's my colored in traced frame. I noticed with the way that I drew my lines, there's a little room for me to add a little more yellow. But be very careful because mixing the yellow too close to your black can cause it to smear. So proceed with caution. So I recommend doing all of your tracings and all of your prep work and then using your oven just once. So I'm going to go ahead and preheat my oven now while I then start doing my cutting. The baking temperature is going to vary by oven. I am using 330 degrees And once my oven preheats, my items will be in for about 3 minutes. That had them a nice shrink. They were still laying flat when I was pulling them out to let them cool. So I did 330 degrees for 3 minutes. Once these go in your oven, you really don't want to walk away from them. Stay in the room, keep an eye on them, peek in on them. Do not recommend leaving them alone. So I'm just leaving a thin border edge that will also shrink down once this is cut. I don't want to cut into my design. I want to leave a little edge. If your cut lines aren't absolutely perfect, essentially we are melting this plastic sheeting. So any little extra cuts around corners will likely just melt and adhere themselves to each other. So almost done. Voila. Next is decide where I would like to place my hole punch. So this is going to become a keychain charm for me. So using the standard hole punch, mine fortunately lost its cover, which actually makes it easier for me to know exactly where I'm punching. So my plan is to actually punch in the corner. And so this is kind of like dangle off a corner when I have it hanging off my keychain. So since I'm not super picky on which corner, I'm just basically thinking, do I want it to hang this way or want it to hang this way? I think I want it to hang this way. So I'm just going to come in here and a little distance from this edge. I don't want to cut too close to the edge where my plastic will be kind of weak and break. So I'm just eyeing the corner in my camera. You can probably see I just have that little bit of the edge showing, and I'm just deciding to go in a little ways and punch. So that way I do have a little space. So when this shrinks down, my hole is not too close to my corner. And it looks like a huge hole right now, but since everything shrinks down, this becomes a lot smaller after baking. So here's my keychain. I'm gonna set that aside, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my 2 turkeys really quick and have them all bake at the same time.
I'm just going to do a rough cut around pretty closely so I'm not wasting the rest of my shrink film. And I'm going to go back in and cut more precisely. So after making 1 keychain charm and now 1 pair of earrings, I still have all this shrink film left for other projects. So I'm going to go ahead and loosely cut these pieces around, and I'll just fast forward you while I finish cutting in more detail.
And now just kind of compare the two, see if there's any areas I want to trim in a little further. Now I will bring over my parchment sheet. And just punch my holes. Again, leaving that little bit of space. So you definitely want to punch your holes before you bake them. So I will have one pair of earrings and one keychain. So on my parchment paper, I'm just going to lay these down and then fold the parchment sheet over the top to help keep a little pressure on them while they're baking to help them stay flat. So I'll be right back after these cook for 3 minutes. Perfect timing, my oven is now ready. I just pulled these out of the oven just to give you a sneak peek. The colors will change slightly during baking, but there's my keychain charm and there are my earrings. And so this guy, his wing kind of curled up a little bit, so I could have left him in a little longer, but I actually don't mind that little bit of shaping. So if you have a certain item that you're trying to make when your Shrinky Dink hasn't completely cooled, you do have a little bit of molding that you can do to them. And there are my turkeys, and there's my keychain charm. So I'm going to carefully pull these off. Since this is a silicone mat, I'm not worried about heat. Let these finish cooling since they are still warm to the touch, and then start assembling our keychain and earrings. All right, since they're still cooling, I'm going to start with the keychain pieces. So first up, move some of these out of the way so you can see a little better what's going on underneath. My little garbage pieces won't need my hole punch anymore. But you can see from the original hole punched to the size the hole is now, using a standard hole punch is not too large. And because of that little distance I gave it from where I punched, there is some distance to the edge, so it doesn't make that a very weak point when I add my earring hardware. So first up with the keychain, I'm going to take one of these jump rings, since these are already opened, and put that in through the tassel hook. And then on this end, attach the clip for the keychain. And so I'm just holding it where the tassel's at the bottom, the clip's at the bottom, and the two open ends are at the top. Then I'm just going to take my jewelry pliers, grip them on both sides of the ring, and push closed. Just give it a little squeeze. That closes the jump ring and keeps your tassel from falling off. Similar step for our actual keychain charm. So here's my charm. I'm going to go ahead, and you may have to, whoops, that can happen too. Your little jump ring wants to fly out of your hands. You may have to widen how open your jump ring is in order to fit around your item. So I just recommend like gripping in your hands and just giving it a little pull. You can also put this in the pliers to help attach it to your charm. It's the same thing I did before. I'm going to take this whole piece, and this loop of the clip needs to go through that jump ring. Hold them all at the bottom, position it so I can see these two ends, to then pull and grip them closed. Now these have a slight overlap to them. If you keep pushing, it will pop them together. So now I have a little tassel and my little frame. And this is a perfect little bag charm, purse charm, keychain charm. And there's my frame from that infamous TV show. Now for the earrings, very similar. So I have my 2 hooks, and they have a little opening loop at the bottom that I'll be hooking the jump rings through. These jump rings are not opened. So with your fingers, just hold onto it, use your pliers and twist. Put that through my earring charm and then through my earring hoop. And then grip on both sides of the open jump ring. A little tricky when it wants to move, and push it closed. Just squeeze. And there is my first earring. Same thing with the other one. Hold on to it, find my opening, just kind of twist, put it through my charm, twist a little more. Squeeze closed. And there's my earring. So I have 2 earrings, well, 1 set of earrings, and a keychain charm out of this Winx Shrinky Dink kit. Have fun playing. Definitely share your pictures, share your items with me. I'm curious what everyone makes, and I hope you have as much fun with this as I did. Next week, we're back in person and with kits. And so next week's topic is Ornament Inspiration. The kit will have 1 style of ornament included, and in person we'll have a few options to choose from for their ornament blank.